YouTube is saturated with marathon training tips right now, guilty as charged also, and as helpful as they are, they're all very similar. So we've sat down and we've racked what's left of our brains to come up with what we think are the most niche marathon training and racing tips that you can get, things that you're unlikely to have heard of before. I'm trying to think as outside of the box as possible to make your race day a much better experience. So do me this favour, do two things: consider subscribing to the channel because it makes such a difference to us, and put your own niche tips in the comments. The crazier the better. This is a great one. These trainers, I just bought these in Tokyo by the way, have a carbon plate here which is supposed to make you about 2 to 4% quicker in a race. But did you know that these can also be trained to be a bit like a carbon plate in terms of a stiffer Achilles means a faster runner, which means it could be 2 to 4% improvement in a race. I mean, think about it, right? Calves and Achilles, they do the majority of the work when you're running. Like, it is a hideous amount of foot strikes when you're running a marathon, and these have got to be up to the task. So why do we not focus on them? So if you go to the gym but you're constantly overwhelmed with the amount of potential exercises that you can do, this niche tip is one of the biggest bang for buck tips that I think we have. Loaded calf raises. We spend our whole time worrying about all these exercises, but slow, loaded calf raises in a gym 2 to 3 times a week increase the calf strength and the tendon stiffness, and you're looking at a 2 to 4% increase in improvement. It's criminally underrated. Why wouldn't we do it? It's also so simple. So why not take this carbon plate and put it in the back of your leg by doing calf raises? Job done.
Okay, how would you like to improve your marathon performance by up to 2.8% simply by smiling? It's a good one. You may have seen this tactic used by the marathon GOAT, Eliud Kipchoge. It's actually known as the Kipchoge smile. Okay, if you're frowning, that's going to increase muscle tension, but if you're smiling, it relaxes the muscles of the body, improves running economy, and lowers oxygen consumption, which in a marathon is a huge win. When you smile, your brain releases the good stuff, endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, that actually blocks pain and boosts your mood. What's not to like? Studies have actually proven that runners who smile report a lower rate of perceived exertion and perform better. So what do? Relax your shoulders, encourage a smile, and enjoy the ride.
It's as simple as this. When you're tired, your cadence changes, and your cadence is the amount of time your feet hit the floor in a minute. And what that can mean is that your technique changes and that you use muscles in a different way, and it can lead to injury. So how do we train our bodies and our minds to try to maintain the same cadence throughout a race in order to try and avoid injury and keep us safe? This is frighteningly simple. I'm going to move here. I'm going to put here. This is kind of my cadence when I run. These are the types of cadences. I put a couple of examples. So I want to train my body in a marathon to try to maintain that cadence. Or I can just do this. Click on Spotify, click on Apple Music, type in playlist for whatever your cadence is. Let's just pick a random one, 175 beats per minute, and it will bring up a playlist of songs that are exactly at that rhythm. So in training and even in a race, if you use your headphones, you can dial into that cadence and just almost not have to think about it, just try and keep up with it. And that's a pretty big game changer in my opinion. And it's also a great way to train yourself. If you want to change your cadence a little bit to a slightly faster cadence, then you can do it by listening to a song. Just put on one song in every 10 minutes, and for that 3-minute song, just try and run at that cadence. It's as simple as that. Most major music platforms now have a playlist for loads of different cadences for you to try. Now this is a double niche tip, so you're getting a twofer here, but it goes way beyond taking your own tin of safety pins to every race. For me, that's a harsh lesson learned. It also involves a pillow. Now I can't take credit for this one. I have to give credit to James in our coaching community, but have you ever had the issue of putting on your bib and it either being really difficult because your vest is not straight or it's a bit ruched up, or worse, which is usually my one, putting the safety pin through the front and back so when you go to put it on in the morning, it's shut, put it that way. All you do is using the pillow, put the vest over the pillow to stretch it out, get it straight. And look at that, now I can see where I want it on the vest and it's easy to attach. Bish bash bosh, ready for race day. This was my Tokyo number, but look at that. And just check. Yes, I haven't attached it to the pillow. Proof, this is how hard it looks to attach when it's not all tight. And yeah, you could put it on yourself, but you do run the risk, or I certainly do, of stabbing myself. Let's move on. Okay, let's talk blisters. So if you're anything like me, trail or road, doesn't really matter, I can pick up blisters, often if I've had a little bit of time away from running. And I have the solution. I actually kind of have two solutions. And the first one is something I learned from a friend of mine, John, when it came to trail racing. And it's Vaseline, and it's smearing this, a thin layer, just a thin layer, all over your feet. So blisters generally come from friction, the rubbing of certain parts, either sock on feet or foot on foot. And I just found just a thin layer of Vaseline, or maybe Body Glide is another good option, removed that friction and therefore reduced the blisters. But if that's not enough, toe socks, things like this, individualize the toes. Is that the right word? But they basically separate them so they can't rub against each other and therefore again reduce the friction. Or I've also got these socks that you can wear in a sandal with just one big toe separated from all the other toes if that's where your problem is. So blisters can be debilitating. They can actually just derail a race completely, and I found those are the two best niche hacks to deal with them, trail or road, doesn't matter. Look how nice these are. We bought these whilst we were in Tokyo. Asics, I'm a massive fanboy. These are the Metaspeed Sky, but do you think on a rainy race day that I'm gonna be putting these on my feet before I start the race to walk through rain, get my feet wet, get these shoes dirty, perhaps the race starts on grass? Absolutely not. The solution is twofold. There are two solutions here. Number one, I was worried about Boston. I was worried that I'd heard that the start, some of it was on grass. So I took an old pair of trainers that were way beyond the end of their lifetime. I wore them on my feet and I had my actual race shoes around my neck. So I wasn't getting them dirty and I wasn't risking getting my feet wet before the time. But a different option is to either get two plastic bags and put your feet in those bags and tie them if you don't really care what you look like, or even shower caps to keep those race shoes dry in conditions where it's either raining or the race start is somewhere on grass. And having dry feet at the start of the race and the shoes that you want to wear, that is a game changer. Carrying all your fuel for a marathon can be a bit of a mission. I needed 8 gels in my last marathon. How do you take them with you? Well, clothing companies have been coming up with some cool solutions, but the best one I've heard, which only got on my radar last year, is sports bras for storage. The sports bra I'm wearing today I bought on recommendation. It's got 3 massive pockets in the front. I could carry all my gels in there. In fact, I put one in today to show you. Here goes. Boom! And if you haven't got a bra with pockets, don't worry, some women actually hook them in the straps at the front or just inside their bra next to the skin. I'd be wary of that one with irritation, but it's worth a try. This sports bra storage could be a game changer. How many times have you gone to grab a drink in a race and you tried to drink but you're continuing to run and the water is going all over you, or worse, the sweet sticky liquid that they give you, maybe electrolytes or Lucozade, everywhere? It's a nightmare. And when you have plastic cups, there's not really anything that you can do about it, unfortunately. So hopefully most races are moving away from plastic cups. But this one tip is an absolute game changer. Pinch the cup. Pinch the cup to turn it essentially into a funnel. We've got plenty of video from us in races, and all it does is it just makes it comfortable and easy to drink whatever fluid that you want to drink. And it's as simple as just pinching a cup. But as I say, maybe don't try it with plastic cups because they just split. But if the course that you're running on has paper cups or even the softer plastic cups, they work And it's an absolute game changer for keeping your hydration up and keeping your face not very sticky.
At the risk of being a little bit risque or a little bit bawdy, there is one tip I've picked up that has saved my skin, and I mean actually quite literally, on numerous occasions, especially if you're in a humid country. Let me literally demonstrate. Are you ready? Whoops. Whoops. Yeah, nipple plasters. So if you'll pardon the pun, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Anyway, what I am, I suppose, trying to get at is humidity absolutely kills you on race day if you haven't practiced those things where you could end up getting sore spots, heat patches. My arms in the Tokyo Marathon, for some weird reason, maybe the chafing and the running here started to really hurt. So I guess what I'm getting at actually is you have to identify those areas where you might be in pain. A little bit like the blister part, where we reduce friction on the feet. It's the same all across our bodies, particularly for me here. I don't want to be that guy crossing the line with blood all over my nipples. And as an added bonus tip, this is a bad idea. Black hat, black long t-shirt, that's a worse idea. So Mac is learning the hard way. And if you're an OG, you're gonna know Mac because he's been on the channel a number of times back when we lived in the UK, and he's over visiting from Oz. How's this run feeling, Mac?
Warm.
I'll bleep that out. Yeah, in the heat, keep the hats white and light. Same with the t-shirt, and expose as much skin as possible. There you go, 2 niche tips in one. I would like it on camera that Mac chose to do this of his own free will. Just, you know, just saying.
This may be my favourite tip of all, and the science is so interesting on this. It could just save your bacon in a marathon, genuinely. And all you need is, well, you could use this, a sweatband, and this, or something similar, a carbohydrate drink mix. And it's to do with what we call mouth rinsing. Now, if you're someone in a race that has struggled with their nutrition, taking on gels, maybe you get an upset stomach, this tip is for you, 100%. And while what I'm about to tell you does not replace taking fuel in a race, it is definitely a way of potentially surviving a marathon. Now, this is actually my electrolyte drink mix, but let's imagine it's carbohydrate. Watch. I didn't actually ingest them, I just made my brain think I did. See, in our mouth, there are carbohydrate receptors, and it doesn't really know the difference between actually putting the carbohydrates in the stomach or just putting them in the mouth. It sends the signal to the brain either way that you put carbohydrates in. The brain does its thing, it sends signals, and your perception of effort lowers just by mouth rinsing 5 to 10 seconds every 15 minutes. And the reason that it has powerful implication is because if you are at the verge of not being able to take any more gels in, you might hit the wall. This might just save your skin in a marathon. Now, the evidence is 2 to 3% increase in performance over 1 hour activity, so higher intensity, but it doesn't rule out a performance gain on longer events like marathons. I mean, it's definitely worth a shot, right? And the reason I got this sweatband is because what some athletes like to do is they like to create a carb drink mix, and then they like to soak their sweatband in it so they're not relying on the aid stations. It might be a bit sticky, but every now and then when they need it, booah. I mean, yes, it might be mixed in with a little bit of your own sweat, but it is your own sweat. You're essentially tricking your brain into thinking more fuel is going in. Come on, that has got to be worth a subscribe, surely. But I'll leave the choice up to you. And if you like this video, you're definitely gonna like this one, which is the 7 worst habits you might have that are gonna keep you running slow and how to change those habits. As always, you're legends for watching. We'll see you next week.